Hi, I'm Brienne. If your watercolor paintings feel flat or boring, it could be because you don't understand the importance of overlapping shapes. I will show you how it's done in this video. Overlapping shapes, or negative painting, can help a painting to feel real and create depth. So what is negative painting? It's basically painting around a light shape to create form. So let's get painting and I'll show you what I mean. So I've started out by, I've done the drawing on my watercolor paper, and then I pre-wet just the area where the blue is going to be, okay? So that I have some water to start with. Now I'm taking this blue, which is cobalt blue. I have cobalt blue, quin rose, and transparent yellow oxide as my red, yellow, and blue. And I'm painting around the clouds. Now this is our first example of negative painting. So I have a lighter shape, which is the clouds, which are in front of that darker blue color, which is the sky. So I'm painting around it to form the clouds. That's what negative painting is. And so I'm really just thinking about the shape around it, and I'm just painting around the light. And this is what we do in watercolor. In order to paint light, you've got to paint the darker values around it. Okay, so now that I have the blue color of the sky, I'm going to mix a gray. And the gray I'm going to mix is with mixing red, yellow, and blue. And this will be the shadow side of the cloud, which is there on the bottom. Okay, you notice that I changed the shape of the clouds. I don't have to follow it exactly from the reference photo. We have that control. And I'm softening some edges because I want some hard, some soft edges. If you want more tips on how to paint skies in watercolor, I have another YouTube video out on how to do that. So here I'm still just continuing on painting the form of the cloud by painting the shadow side of the clouds. Put a shape down, and what I'm doing is rinsing out my brush, dabbing it to a paper towel so it's clean and damp, not totally dry, and then I can soften some edges right like that. All right, after I've got the sky in, now I'm going to start with the back mountain. So I'm going to work back to front and light to dark. Also, I work top to bottom, but basically those mountains are a lighter value than the trees in front. So I'm starting off with that. And then once I've kind of got those mountain shapes, I'm going to start on the side hill. Now, the side hill is darker than the mountains in the back, and also I'm going to be going around the tree shapes in front because they're going to be a lighter green. So I start off with just painting around the tree shapes. I'll come back in with a green color. And notice how I'm very careful to go around the roof of the buildings because those roof shapes are lighter. So again, negative painting. Now I'm bringing in a lighter green value, right? Bringing in a green hue. And I've mixed that with my red, yellow, and blue. And I'm careful to go around the light of those buildings. So again, that's negative painting. I'm overlapping. I don't have to outline the shape in front of it. After I've dropped in all of those the green in those tree shapes, then I will be bringing in the darker value under those, on those buildings. Now this is actually the lighter value of the buildings because I'm going to be coming in with darker pigment later. More pigment, less water, a darker value, okay? Then I continue on down. This is really what I consider my first wash. I have finished the sky, I finished that background mountain, but then the rest of this is just tinting the paper so it's not white. Then I'm going to let this first wash dry. After it's dry, I will come in with the next value of those trees. So those back trees, which are behind the barn and the outbuildings, I need to be very careful to be painting around those light shapes. This is negative painting. This is overlapping of shapes. And the fact that they're overlapping and there's a lighter value shape in front already gives us a sense of depth because we see that something is behind that shape. So it's such a powerful tool and something that's very important in understanding. Too many times I see students that want to just outline every object and trying to define all the objects. We don't want to define objects. We want to think more of shapes and whether the value is darker or lighter. If it's darker in front, or lighter in front, then we've got to paint around it. Like there where I'm painting the edge of the bushes, right? I'm kind of focusing in on those shapes. Now let's zoom in a little bit, because as you see, I'm bringing in the darker value of those buildings, but I'm being very careful, and you'll see in a minute that I'm bringing in subtle details here of focusing on painting around possible fence posts, details, whatever. But it doesn't matter what it is, it just breaks up that space, but it's the darker shape behind it, that lighter shape in front, that's helping that feel like a realistic detail. Okay, now I'm going to start bringing in form on some of those trees. So I'm thinking where the light is, it's coming from the left, and the shadow will go towards the right, right? So I bring in those overall mass shapes, and then I'm going to bring in more form, which I will do in those lighter bushes that are up front just by taking some a little more pigment in water. It's not so much darker, but still a little variation will create the form. Now I'm going to bring in some of these fence posts. So you can see I did some negative painting to create some of those fence posts, and then I can bring in some darker to accentuate that as well, darker values. Now I'm going to, just like I did with those bushes on the ground, I want variation. I don't want it to be a flat shape. So I'm just with some dirty water and a little bit of pigment going in and messing that up. Okay, now I need more form in those back trees. And how do I get form? Value shift, right? So I need to get the shadowed side of those trees. So what I do is I paint a dark shape, then I'm going to go in with a damp brush and soften some of those edges, not all of them. And then I'm using my fingernail to just scrape in a few details of some branches and again trunks within the trees. So trees are a mass with finesse at the edges. If you want to watch my, I have a video that you can watch about trees and how to paint those, and that can be helpful. Okay, so again, scraping in little bits of detail, messing up some of the edges, thinking of the shape of the values. Where's the sun coming from? Where's the shadow? And then I'm going to punch in a few of those really dark shapes underneath those trees to just create more form. Now let's zoom in a little bit because I want to talk again about negative painting. I'm painting around the shape of those light bushes. How do I get that? It's all just painting the dark shape around the lighter shapes. And this is what gives that little sense of detail and will take your paintings to looking more sophisticated. Okay, and so it's all about overlapping shapes and negative painting, painting around the lighter shapes with darker values. Okay, so I'm going to continue on now. Here I'm going into the details of the fence and the fence posts. If it's dark on top of a light shape, then you can paint that, right on top directly. But there is still some negative painting. You'll see little bits of detail that I've put in there. And I didn't paint around those, white. Notice I'm using the first wash, the color of the first wash. And I want that. I don't want anything pure white, except for maybe those a little bit in the clouds in the back mountain. Now I'm going to, with dirty water, just lots of water, a little bit of pigment, going to just soften those roof lines because I don't want them to be just pure white because that's a little too harsh. So I'm going to vary some of the shapes, so just indicate a little bit of texture on those roofs without getting too detailed. Also, there's one last thing. I need to put a small little shadow on one of those side buildings because of where the light's hitting it. And that's it. That's the finished painting. Remember that the key takeaways are to not outline things. Don't think of objects. Paint around the shapes with a darker shape behind it. So think in layers and shapes, not specific objects, and that will help your work. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video was helpful. If you would like to learn more or see this demo step by step, then please visit my teaching website, travelingcolorstudio.com. Also, please like and subscribe to my channel for more art tips and tutorials. Thanks, and happy painting!